What's going on, team? Proof here. Welcome to the new Do Masters Plays deck showcase video. And before I hop into it, as you might have noticed, I got music playing in the background. What I did, I took down the background noise so there won't be any in-game music, and I replaced it with some sounds from SoundCloud because I thought it'd be nice to give a different type of musical experience, different what you would get from the game itself. But I'm just going to try it out for this video. Let me know if you like it. If you don't like it, let me know, and we'll see if we can make some adjustments or just put back in the new in-game sound. But I thought this would be kind of nice thing to try out. So the deck I have for you today is Fire Nature Rush, and the idea behind the deck, as the name might imply, is to just beat down your opponent as fast as possible with a combination of low cost fast things and then some bigger things to help beat your opponent down if they are able to beat or stabilize after your early rush. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna talk about the cards, talk about the choices, and then get to 3 games, and then hopefully we win more than we lose. So the first card we have is Deadly Fighter Braveclaw, which is a 1-drop or a 1-mana 1000 power creature, and it must attack each turn if able. Currently there aren't any ways to prevent it from attacking, so if your opponent plays down the blocker, they're likely going to just take the free trade with Braveclaw to protect their shields, or they're going to just take the hit and then kill Braveclaw on the swing back, assuming you don't play anything else after that, which is rare. But you play it to be aggressive early and just start to get the front foot going on your opponent. Next up we have 4 Comet Missile. It is a 1-mana shield trigger. It says destroy one of your opponent's creatures with blocker and 6000 power or less. So since every commonly played blocker is within that range at the moment, it's an easy 1-mana card just to remove your opponent's blocker to get your aggression through. Then we have Sniper Mosquito. 1 mana, it says when it attacks, search your mana zone for a card and return 1 back to your hand. So with the search mechanic, it's going to search your entire mana zone and select 3 random cards from it that aren't duplicates of each other, and you have the option to return 1 back to your hand. This is good to help keep card advantage going for you as an aggressive deck, since there aren't any other ways to get there, and it allows you to just help recoup and keep that flow going. You want to time it up to where you aren't putting yourself into such a low mana position to where if you get discarded or your creatures die, you aren't suddenly in a losing position. So you want to make sure you time it up appropriately. Then we have 4 Snip. He says your opponent, or he can't attack if your opponent has more creatures than you. So if you're equal or more than your opponent, he can freely attack, but being 3000 power is very important for early game aggression, especially in a meta where Astral Reef is so prevalent, because it can at the very least trade into Astral Reef and keep things moving that way for you. He's kind of a liability if your opponent can stabilize, so you want to get him out early. That way you get the maximum benefit from him before your opponent can stabilize. And 3000 power, as I mentioned, is hard for him to deal with early in most cases. We have 2 Rikaboo Screwdriver. It's basically a creature version of Comet Missile, except that it has a tap ability, so it's repeatable as long as it stays alive. So instead of attacking, you can tap it down to destroy a blocker with 6000 power or less. It kind of helps supplement the fact, supplement Comet Missile, as opposed to having an additional spell here in the form of Volcanic Arrows, which says you can destroy any creature with 6000 power or less at the exchange of destroying one of your shields. Since we're a rush deck, our shields aren't as important as beating down our opponent's shields, so we don't mind the shield loss. I just wanted to have Screwdriver in here as another creature, because Screwdriver can potentially attack as well. So I thought that was an important change for me to make personally. Then we have 4 Quixotic. Swine Snout, aka Mr. Pig. He says when a creature is summoned, he gets plus 3000 power to end the turn. So it's a nice way for us to beat down opposing blockers early, because we're going to be putting down creatures fast and furious, and it's hard to destroy them again, or it's hard for opposing aggressive decks to destroy him because they're going to keep gaining power as they summon creatures to combat our board. So he's one of the central parts of making the deck function as it is. We have 4 Poisonous Mushroom. Mushroom says when it comes into play, you can put an additional card from your hand into the mana zone for that turn. So this is nice to help accelerate us into 4 mana, which we have a lot of our big powerful bomb cards at. But it also synergizes with Sniper Mosquito, because you can add a card from your hand to mana zone to get to 3 or 4 mana with Mushroom, and you can attack with Sniper Mosquito and return a card back to your hand. So it kind of washes, but you don't go down to a lower mana count that you're comfortable with. So that's why it's an important addition to have. Got tried and true for this deck for Power Fighter Magnus. He has speed attacker, so he doesn't have summoning sickness and it can attack immediately. While he's battling another creature, he gets plus 2,000 or plus 1,000 power, and then at the end of the turn, should he still be on the board, he returns back to your hand. That's kind of like pseudo card advantage because it can attack, break a shield, kill a creature, or return back to hand and do it again next turn as long as he survives. There's not likely going to be a chance for us to get to 6 mana and play double Pyro Fighter, which is a common finishing move for some mid-rangey decks, but we play 4 of him in case the first one gets removed from discard or destroyed from a shield trigger, and it makes a great top deck if we're trying to find a way to end the game. Got 2 Cannon Shell, just a nice little thick body to have for our opponent to deal with. He gets plus 1,000 power for every shield we have. It does have negative synergy with Volcanic Arrows, but usually, like being 4 mana, like 4,000 to 6,000 power, it might be where it sits commonly, which is a very good body to have. Then we have 4 Pencil Scarab, my boy. He gets plus 2,000 power for every card in your opponent's hand, which synergizes well with the fact that we'll be breaking our opponent's shields very quickly. And he has double breaker as long as he has as long as he has 6,000 power or more, which isn't a hard condition to have because that's only 3 cards in our opponent's hand. So if we're feeding them cards because we're an aggressive deck, then they have to deal with our aggressive side and then our big boys in Pencil Scarab and Cannon Shell, which might be a little too much for them to handle. Then last up is a personal edition that I made recently in Madu Scrum. It's a shield trigger, and you choose one of your opponent's creatures with 5,000 power or less and put it into the mana zone. I chose this over Tornado Flame because it helps fill out my nature mana and because it's 1 mana cheaper, which is important for this particular deck over Tornado Flame. We don't care too much that our opponent might get the mana if we're trying to win soon thereafter. So I thought it'd be a nice way to remove cards such as Jill Worka, which is the worst blocker for us to face at the current moment, and we might sneakily run into it along the way. So that'll do it for this deck. Let's go ahead and find some games and hope you enjoy. Alright, we're going second, which isn't what we want to be doing as a rush deck, but we'll make do. Wow, double scrum. That's not great. That's pretty good. Alright, so I can go Pyro Fighter into Braid Claw, or I can go Scrum into this, but it won't be attacking next turn. But the next turn we followed up with this anyway. It would suck to run into Aqua Surfer, but it kind of is what it is. Can't play scared with this particular deck. So if this is a Reef deck, aha, it could be Water Nature. Well, it looks like Water Nature Reef, which means they could be playing. Ooh, they're playing the version that uses Shroom instead. So it could be setting up for a turn 4 or turn 3 Reef that way. Against Reef, our best option is to have Quixotic here because it can instantly trade into it. So hopefully we don't run into Aqua Surfer here. I want this one. It's a good sign. And then next turn we can play both of these cards. Yep, here comes Reef. Well, likely. What if I gave it to him off that shield break? But if this attacks, then we can trade into it quickly. Cause I'm not gonna not get rid of Reef as a threat to us. Comet Missile likely won't be used in this matchup because Kelp Candle probably won't stick around for a turn. So we're gonna put this to mana. I'm gonna keep the Scrum around, it might be important in a little bit. get rid of that. Even though we are a rush deck, I think it's important to make some trades here and there. Sniper. What's in my mana zone? I can get back Pyro Fighter. There's a chance to get back Pyro Fighter at least. Do I care too much about his creatures to want to use Scrum on one? If I don't play mana, I guarantee that I get Pyro Fighter back. So I think that's a good thing to do. No. Attack with this one first to guarantee that I get back Pyro before they can remove it. Then once again, we hope we don't run into Surfer. That's a cool sound. I never heard his attack sound before. Usually when I play Screwdriver, I play it in casual mode where I have the animations disabled. And by doing so, it also disables their attack animation and their attack sound. So that was cool. And then next turn, if they don't remove these guys, they can definitely remove my 3 creatures here. Then they need to have, if they don't remove these 2, then I have game unless they play a blocker of some kind. But to be able to remove everything, they have to trade their board into it, because this lines up with this, this with this, and then this scales with this whenever they play another creature, because they both trigger. So his best option here would be to play something like Teleportation or some Spiral Sliders to remove these bodies off the board, but then they would still have to trade their whole board into it. So I'm in a good spot is what I'm trying to say. I'm in a pretty good spot here. And if I top deck Comet Missile, then I can push for game that way. Wait, really? Huh? What? But, okay. Okay. I don't know why they didn't trade the shroom. I can just do that. I don't know if they forgot what Screwdriver did or what, but we'll take it. And that's why we have Screwdriver in the deck. It's like a mobile Comet Missile. I like mobile cards. Mobile as in it has an additional function that we like to see while being a creature as well. Once again, we're going second. Something I forgot to mention in the intro is that this deck here is really good at being cost effective, because the only high rarity card is Pyro Fighter itself, which you need to have for, in my opinion, for the deck to function. Unfortunately, I don't have a 1 mana card, but this is look like another Reef deck, which I want to have Quixotic come down on turn 2 if they play a Reef card, a Cybervirus. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna give up one of these guys here and keep this option open. Kind of like I can go the Quixotic route, or I can go the Shroom into Pincer Scarab route. Sweet. So I'm gonna put that in the mana. I'm gonna play that to shut the reef down. So being water darkness, I need to worry about a whole bevy of shield triggers. I could put this to mana and play these two. And then what this does, it leaves me with these two in my hand. So if I do activate a discard trigger of some kind, assuming they don't have a follow-up in their hand, then I have the option to go into either one of these two next turn, which would be pretty good. So I get both of those on the board. And then attack, and then hope for the best. And that's why Quixotic is really good, because they have to give up their summoning for the turn to be able to remove it. I don't think this is going to be useful this game, once again. So I'm going to attack, and then assuming that my opponent does not trigger, I'm going to pass turn. Because if this sticks around, then they have to find an answer for it. That's how dangerous it is. I didn't feel good about that shield. Okay. So I'm going to pass turn here. And usually 5-mana answers are hard to come by. There's like Spiral Slider and stuff like that. So they didn't draw it. So I can play this and Sniper. So this clears my hand and it renders their any discard triggers useless. And I have game on board, so they have to remove something else outside of Pincer. What? That's surprising. Nowhere did this deck indicate that it played light, but okay. So I can still draw like Comet Missile or something. I didn't think Comet Missile would be useful here. That's why I put in the bin. But I'll put this on the board. Why not? If they do play an evolution without playing another blocker, then I can just freely attack and win. This is where, as I mentioned, that Snip is kind of a liability. Another card option you can choose if you don't want to play Snip is Kook Palan, because then I'd be able to freely attack over this. But we're still putting pressure on our opponent here. And while they're trying to clear their hand out to make Pincer weaker. So it's kind of we're in the a Comet Missile or Volcanic Arrow's waiting room. they can't play. Well, they could play like a Flash evolution into Glean of Wool, as we saw here, which we featured in the last video, and get rid of my pincer. Or they could have Terror Pit. They have a lot of answers here. They're gonna power up one of like cyber viruses or something. Oh my gosh. Snip, why? Of all the games you want to come up as a 4 of. Let's see, did I just lose from this spot? They could play Holy Eye. But now they're just trying to wait for a blocker to come along. Yeah, I had a feeling that was coming. So what's the last card? I mean, if I top deck another Pyro Fighter, then I'm still good. Or anything that's not Snip. Because good lord. They have Gleena in hand? Yep. That's unfortunate. I could have won if I did not just draw a full series of snips. Yeah, this is over. We're out of here. Oh, that was just bad luck that we just drew all our snips in a row like that. Anything else we would have been able to win. So if you don't like something like that happening to you, then definitely replace Snip with something like Kook, because it can't be attacked, and that way you don't run into those situations where you do lose out on the power, but you gain the utility of it not being able to be attacked by your opponent, and it can freely attack without having that restriction tacked onto it. Actually, thinking about it, I totally messed up by not keeping the second Pyro in my hand. I don't know why I added it to mana. For some reason I thought that I was going to build up to a double Pyro Fighter situation that this deck doesn't really shoot for, like I talked about. So I think that was a bad move on my part. Not going in blind, I want to keep the Comet Missile available, which means this is going to go into mana. But yeah, if I held on to the Pyro Fighter, then the singular Locomotiver would not have just ruined the entire game. So it was less on Snip being a liability, which it can be, as you saw in that game, and more on me just misplaying by giving up the, well, didn't even give me the arrow. Interesting. Don't want to keep this or no? Rumble Gate kind of usually denotes that they're playing something with light in it. Or connotes, not denotes. But I also want to have this available as well. And I definitely want to play mana here. Don't want to give up the second Pyro? That sounds like a bad idea. Alright, we'll give this up. I wanted to stick this on the board just to give me something of more presence to be able to attack next turn as opposed to playing the Pyro Fighter and it coming back to hand. So I just wanted to play the slower card first since it was the option that I had. Sniper. Usually their only removal for Pincer Scarab is an Aqua Surfer in this type of deck. This looked like a variation of the old Light Water Fire deck from season 1, from set 1, maybe without Reef in it. So I want to put this here, and then I'm going to break a shield. And then if it's not Aqua Surfer, then this sticks around. He could have Spiral Slider to remove it, but then he'd have to trade into it to remove it. So it is a Reef deck. Just that they tacked in Snip. Just jam another one. Just jam it down. If they block, then this can attack. But do I want it to attack? I don't know. I want to clear both shields at one time. That way, because it plays around Aqua Surfer better. And it could trigger Holy Eye. I think this is fine to hold for a turn. So that's 2 surfers down. I think I've seen something like this around. They play Sirius here as a 2-mana blocker, which is better than Soul Gala in terms of facing down Reef directly. So this is, again, if they do block with Sirius here, Snip will be able to attack because I'm going to have 4 creatures to their 4. Or that. Scrum. Where were you last game? I needed you. Actually, did I need you? No, I needed Comet Missile. Like, I need something to bail me out of my misplay. So the downside of going just face here is that they could have Holy Eye. So I don't know if I want to do this into their Snip, because if I play this, which I'm going to do anyway, breaking their shields and having 3 attackers left over, or having 2 attackers left over, plays around exactly. No, it wouldn't play around Surfer because actually it would. So I'm more afraid of Holy Eye now that I've seen 2 Surfers. To where I can put this into this, and then I can do this, and then if they do trigger Holy Eye, then they're down a creature. And it decreases my odds of losing to them on the swing back. Because if I kept Snip around, they could have played Astral Reef with 5 creatures that could attack, and then I would just be kind of done. So I was playing around worst case scenario of how do I die. I'm playing a nice little game of how do I die next turn. Got there. So we went 2-1 this episode, so we actually gained a star, which is really nice. I was a misplay away from going 3-0 in this episode, so I'm a little torn about that. I'm a little hurt about that. My feelings are hurt. My pride got shot a little bit. But I hope this was a good showcase for you into the world of the Fire Nature Rush deck. And yeah, hope you enjoyed. Hope you've been enjoying the content. If you're a Vanguard fan, I've been playing through Vanguard Zero, the regular mode, because people expressed that they didn't care about the story mode too much, and I can respect that. So I'm gonna play through that some more, get to the point where I'm ready to play ranked, and then give some videos on that. And I'm also gonna try and stream it more, but also depends on my baby and how she's handling everything. So hope you've enjoyed, and look out for more content in the future. And this has been really fun getting back in the swing of things. So until next time, peace, be easy.